Hey, what's going on, guys? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Get Your Mind Right. My name is Scott King, and I'm a certified hypnotist and NLP practitioner. And I'm excited. I just recently finished my PDF. It's called The Guide for Empowerment Coaching. So if you're in a narcissistic relationship or think you're in a narcissistic relationship and you want to learn just a little bit more than what the videos cover, I actually have a guide, and I'll get that out to you. All you have to do is join the mailing list, www.letsgetyourmindright.com/join, and I'll be able to send that out to you. And you can establish for yourself, where you are, and if the relationship around you is either healthy or unhealthy, and then what steps you can do if you find out that you're in I call it a toxic relationship, but it's up for you to decide whether or not that relationship is toxic or not. Well, today I'm going to cover 5 of my top language patterns that a narcissist would use within a conversation to get its subject to do whatever it wants to do, basically. So the first one we're going to talk about is comparisons. Now, when you think about comparisons, you ever heard of the phrase keeping up with the Joneses? Let's say your neighbor goes out and gets a nice car, and that narcissist person will be like, oh, well, I'll have a nicer one next week. Or let's say a friend of yours gets a new phone, and the narcissist would say, well, I'm going to wait for the second one to come out because I read that the first one's going to have all these glitches, and I'd rather have one that's more functionable. Basically saying that what you got is nice, but it's not as nice as what I'm going to get, because it's all about comparisons. Who's the best? Now, when you're in the entertainment industry, you basically want to one up the other. So that becomes like a little slippery slope. Another thing that runs in with comparisons that a narcissist might use in a conversation to get you to do something, and that would be social proof. That's also like a subcategory of comparisons, right? Well, if this person and this person and this person and this person will do what I say, then why won't you do it? In fact, you should be lucky that I'm even calling you to ask you to do this for me. And that's just kind of how that conversation goes. It's just one thing to keep in mind. If someone's making you do something that you don't want to do, or it doesn't seem fair, or, you left the conversation going, man, what just happened right there? They were pulling on your strings and probably using comparisons as something to get you to move. So the second thing a person might do is called blame shifting. So let's say you're in a conversation with a narcissist and they say, well, we're going to go after and chase this account, and we're going to get it, and I need you guys to be behind me. Let's say you don't get the account, and they're like, hey, man, I thought you were going to get this account. Well, it wasn't my fault. It was somebody else's fault. I told them to deliver this thing, and it didn't actually happen. Or it rained that day. We weren't able to make it, and it becomes like the environment's fault. So you could go up to the person, you could be getting something that seems really solid after you're done with the conversation. And then when it comes time to brass tacks, or you really want whatever the item was that was in the conversation, and you can't, you're really mad at the person who promised it to you, but you can't be mad at them because it was somebody else's fault. So that's something else to keep in mind as well. Also, number 3, appraisal and worship. So this one kind of gets me too, right? So when you're having a conversation with somebody, they're going to look down on you, right? Or a narcissist normally surrounds themselves with people that they think are inferior to they are, and they want the appraisal and worship. So if you start to give some slack or start to call somebody out on some BS, they're going to turn around and say something like, well, aren't you glad I was able to figure all this stuff out for you? I think you're just being a little bit too hard on me. Yeah, I know I may have said this, but that's, going to be a little bit further in the future. And I don't think you're really being fair with me, because, you should really be thanking me for all the things I was able to figure out for you. And I don't really feel like I'm getting the approval that I should be getting right now. You should be actually praising me. And then whenever you speak my name to anybody else, it should be nothing but praise and glory when my name is mentioned. And you're welcome. Something that a narcissist might do, be like, oh, I remember when you were here and now you're here, and you don't think I had anything to do with that? You should be treating me a lot different than what you're treating me right now. I can't believe you're acting like that towards me right now. Something like that. Oh, also a narcissist will want to seem social, right? So when they're in a room and they're having a conversation with people, they're going to want to point everything back to them. Even if you're successful, they're going to be like, well, I had my part in that, and I'm so glad I was here to make sure you were successful because of the training that I gave you, or something along those lines, right? If you're in, they want to take over the conversation. If somebody else is getting any type of, attention, they're going to want to say, oh, well, I did that better. Or why don't you come look over here? It's like a smoke and mirrors game, right? Oh, this person may be getting attention right now. And they'll always, want to be the alpha of the room, realizing they're just going to have to be louder, than anybody else that could be getting attention because they're going to want it all in themselves. Basically, if you go over to somebody's place and they're like, oh, look at my things. Oh, look at what I just got. Oh, look at what I did. Oh, look at this. I mean, that's great and all. At the same time, other people have their light too. And it's not always centered around the one person that wants it centered around. And it doesn't always have to be centered around the narcissist. You have little time to think about other things if you're always focused on how great the narcissist is. See how that works? And of course, the last one, which I'll make a whole entire video of, it's called gaslighting. So once again, gaslighting and framing to me go hand in hand, right? So for those of you that do not know what gaslighting is, that's where you tell somebody else that whatever they thought reality they had in their mind wasn't true at all. In fact, it wasn't said like that at all. Goes pretty good with the blame shifting. That's not what I said. I meant it for somebody else. And then I can't believe you always act like that towards me. You have such a weird way of thinking. And everybody else, you add that social proof too. Everybody else thinks you think that way too. And, we're going to have to really sit down and talk about this because, I really think there's something wrong with you and you probably need to go see some help. And, all of your friends have been turning against you too. I don't know what's going on. So basically convincing somebody else and holding the frame. Now remember, whoever sets a frame and holds it the longest is the one that wins. So if somebody places a frame on you, and it could be as simple as thanks for understanding. Here's an example. Oh, I'm going to pay you less throughout the year, but I'm going to be able to get you more work throughout the year. So you'll be able to work more for less, but at the end of the year, you'll make more. And I did that decision without talking to you because I knew that would have been in your best interest. And thanks for understanding. At the same time, he was, thinking that I understand. You weren't even like asking or considering my thoughts anyway. So think about it like this. So basically it works out to them placing a frame on you and them acting towards you with that frame in play. And it's called the pseudo reality. So it's like you have to take 4 steps back, explain to the person they don't know what they're talking about before you can even move forward. If that's a decision that you decide to do, because that gets a little complicated. Sometimes people will stay in a narcissistic relationship because that's the best option for that point. Meaning this other person, like a boss, is paying their paycheck. Or it's a mother or a parent and they got to answer the phone. You would just realize that you would start to change your boundaries. Maybe you're not on the phone for 3 hours at a time when the person calls. Again, I have a whole course on this. Get the PDF. Once again, guys, thanks for listening. www.letsgetyourmindright.com/join. I'll get that PDF out to you and the journey starts now. Thanks for watching.